From Leonid, dear Mr. Klavan, I've heard many times that Hollywood did not become left-wing right away and that there was a time when films were made in the United States based on patriotic conservative values. When did Hollywood go bad? Could you name the years before which decent films were made in Hollywood? Sure. The thing is, Hollywood always had a lot of artists in it. Artists tend toward the liberal. Right? I'm a liberal. I mean, I'm a liberal. I want everybody to do what he wants. I have a lot of tolerance for eccentricity and offbeatness and what the left calls otherness. I want everybody included in the American way. But it was started by, Hollywood was built by immigrants and the sons of immigrants, many of whom were Jews, many of whom knew this was the greatest country on earth because they had seen and experienced what it was like to be elsewhere. And a lot of the great directors were emigres coming from elsewhere. And so they celebrated America, even though they might have had a liberal vision of it, right? They had a liberal vision of inclusivity, things that we would consider, that even conservatives would accept now as part of the American vision. But they loved America. They thought America was the solution, not the problem. They thought that American values could save things. There were discussions that went on, for instance, between films like High Noon, which was made by a leftist, even though it has very conservative values in it. And I think it was Howard Hawks who made an answering Western in which people offer John Wayne help. And John Wayne says, I don't need any help, because he believes in the individual. So there were definitely points of view. There were guys like Jimmy Stewart who were outspoken conservatives and increasingly outspoken as time went on. And his best friend, Henry Fonda, who was a left-winger. There were friendships between guys like Charlton Heston and guys like Gregory Peck. Charlton Heston, a great conservative, Gregory Peck, a great liberal. And these people were friends because the debate was much more centered. Things went bluey in the 60s, and they went bluey for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons was the studio system broke down, allowing the lunatics to take over the asylum. Once the studio system broke down, and the studio system was kind of unfair in the same way the old league system was unfair before the unions came, before free agency came in baseball. Once free agency came, baseball players got paid these enormous sums of money, and they developed a lot of power. The same thing happened in Hollywood as artists developed a lot of power. And artists, and especially actors, are not necessarily the greatest thinkers, but they had tremendous power. Before, they were controlled by the businessmen. The businessmen wanted to appeal to America. Many of the businessmen loved America. Even if they didn't love America, they wanted their movies to make money. They would never have allowed a film about a gay black guy, transsexual, because nobody wants to see it. Whereas now, that's the movie they make. Everybody praises it. Everybody sings its song. They give it an Oscar. Nobody cares. Nobody's watching it. So once the studio system broke down and the artists took over the asylum, and once the 60s came and leftism became the hip new thing, Hollywood went left, and it went far left, and it's now basically a closed shop to anyone with differing opinions. It's a wonderful thing when Dave Chappelle, who I'm sure is a liberal, can at least get his anti-leftist ideas onto Netflix. I think things are going to break up, but they're not going to break up from within. It's going to have to be conservatives creating new venues for conservatives to speak. Then it'll fall apart pretty quickly because it all doesn't make any sense and it's annoying and humorless. I hope that answers that question.